Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Micah. This is my hobby channel, Floating in Dreams, where I like to chat about makeup and fashion. And today I have a makeup related video for you because it has been a while since I last talked about a drugstore makeup starter kit. So if you are someone who just doesn't have a lot of makeup, or maybe you're just getting started, or if you just want to know my ride or die drugstore makeup products, then this is that video. I just thought we could have a grand old rave about some of my drugstore favorite products. I've got an array here. All the products together should allow you to do a full face of makeup if you were to own all of these. And in some categories, I do have more than one option, so that depending on availability or depending on, preference, you can make different choices. So definitely have a whole array here for you. So let's just get cracking to chat about all of these lovely products. So I want to go about this in the order in which I would apply my makeup, and that means we're going to start off with primer. And for primer, I've got two options here. Face primer, I have to say that I don't really have a solid favorite face primer, period. I really like the Catrice Fresh It Up primer, but they sadly discontinued it. So that's why I can't recommend that, even though some territories that primer may still be available. But I have been really taken with Essence primers lately. They have been doing some lovely things. They came up with a hydrating primer. They now do a sensitive primer, which I feel is the hydrating primer, but without the perfume. So I feel that those are really successful for what I look for in a primer, which is that they just make my makeup last a little bit longer throughout the day. And with the warm weather that we have been having, these products have been really nice, lightweight. They don't have that very classic silicone-y feel that some cheap primers might have. This just feels lovely on the skin. They are a little bit more on the hydrating side, so it doesn't mean you can forego your skincare routine, but it definitely sort of bridges that gap between your skincare and your makeup, and it just makes for a really nice base. I do go through these quite quickly, but Essence has been doing some lovely primers. So if you're looking for a good, affordable drugstore primer for your face, I would definitely recommend looking into Essence because they are doing some lovely things. With Essence and Catrice, however, because I've got some Catrice products in here too, they do change up their line a lot. So very often, like, this product may not be available where you live, and sometimes they just discontinue something. You're like, that was my favorite product. So it's sort of like, get it while you can. But yeah, for some of these categories, I really have no other options but Essence and Catrice because I love those products so much. So I would definitely look into the brand, in this case Essence, to find a good face primer. For eyes, I would like to recommend the Milani eyeshadow primer because I think that in terms of all the eyeshadow primers that I've ever tried, the one that stands out to me as being really good, yet, depending on where you live, also quite affordable, it's this little guy. This is the Milani eyeshadow primer. And if you're in the US, I think this retails for like $7. Where I live, it's a little bit more expensive. It's around 12 euros, but I still find it very worth it. You get 9 milliliters of product, which means you get quite a lot. So I find that these primers also last a good while. Very often eyeshadow primers don't come with a whole lot of product and you can use them up quite quickly. But with this, you only need a little bit. It doesn't have a weird greasy layer that comes out, and I've gone through I think 2 or 3 tubes of these in the past, and it's one that I always keep around in my stash because it's just one that I need to go back to all the time. So once I prime my face, it's time to apply a layer of base makeup. Now I've got 3 options here for you. My all-time favorite foundation at the drugstore would be the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Freshwear Foundation. I have mine in the shade 20 Ivory, and I feel this is very similar to the YSL All Hours. This is a medium to buildable full coverage though, so that may not be your cup of tea. However, on my dry, quite sensitive skin, this doesn't accentuate any lines or dry patches. It is one of those foundations where I feel if I need a foundation that can just last all day and just see me through anything, this is the foundation I go for from the drugstore for sure. It's just a really, really good foundation, and I really appreciate that since they redid this foundation, that they've extended the shade range, because in the previous rendition, was it the Stay Fresh, I think it was called? That one didn't have a shade that matched me, but this matches me quite well, so that's another reason why I do appreciate it. They definitely did extend that as well with this foundation. So I think that L'Oreal is of course a brand that I think a lot of people can get a hold of, so that's why I wanted to feature this in today's video. However, there are also two foundations that I really love that do something differently to that may be cruelty-free. So if those are things you are looking for, then I do have two other options. If you are like me and you prefer something that's just more lightweight, then I think the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer can be a good one. I've tried both the Pretty Fresh moisturizer, tinted moisturizer, so this one, as well as the foundation, and I prefer this over the foundation because this is just a little bit more lightweight. It's really nice for like right now in the summertime. This is just sees me through. I have mine in the shade Fair 4N, and Colourpop is of course cruelty free, and this comes in a whole host of shades. However, of course, if you are in Europe, then Colourpop can be hard to find because I can only buy this from their official website. So with the customs and everything that comes with it, it may not be worth it in the end. Make sure that you do that calculation in your brain for yourself before placing an order with Colourpop, because it can be less affordable than to someone who is in the US. However, if you are in the US, check out Colourpop because they do some lovely bases. However, I also wanted to feature a more Europe leaning brand, and a foundation that I've tried, but not that much where I'm like, ooh yeah, it's my all-time favorite foundation, but that really, really impressed me, is the Kiko Insta Moisture Foundation. I have this in the shade 1R, which is the lightest shade that they do. And I had never tried Kiko foundation, and then I decided to do a full face of Kiko over the winter time. And this foundation was just so, so lovely. I was super impressed with it. It wore really well. The shade is really good for me too. And I just thought I could also feature a more Europe leaning brand to help out all those Europeans. So the L'Oreal one, I think you can get like all across the globe. The Colourpop one is a bit more easily available if you're in the US. And this one is a little bit easier to find if you're in Europe, because Kiko has stores all over Europe. And I think you can even still swatch in their stores at the moment. So that's lovely too. So you can actually try and see if you can find your shade match. Kiko is available online in the US as well, so you can get this. But this is perhaps more of a European pick, in case you're wondering. For concealer, I was sort of wrecking my brain because Kiko does a really lovely concealer as well. I've got loads of different concealers from the drugstore that I absolutely love. I really, really love drugstore concealers. I love trying them, I love buying them, I usually use them up quite quickly as well. But one that if I have to really like put out a good recommendation out there for you, I think the concealer I have to go with is one that not only I tried and loved, but that I tried and loved so much that I repurchased it. And that there's only like one or two of them. And the one that I think I prefer even more than the one that I have repurchased most, because that would be the Catrice Liquid Camouflage, but that I feel a little too thick and cakey looking for like most of the year. I feel I can only really get away with it in the winter time when my dark circles just shine through a lot. But a very good all-round concealer for me that I have repurchased is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Concealer and Contour. I have mine in the shade C3, which is my perfect shade match. It's definitely one of the lighter shades. And this range of concealer comes in cool, neutral, and warm tones in a whole spectrum. So also in terms of like shade inclusivity, I think the Revolution one is definitely a really good one. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to feature too many like colored base products from SS and Catrice, because their shade ranges are usually just a bit even though they do make some lovely products, but it may be difficult to find. So if I'm going to be recommending all-time favorites, then of course it does need to include everybody, and I think that Makeup Revolution is a drugstore brand that does that really well. However, their foundations weren't very successful for me. But this concealer, oh my, oh my. It also comes in a giant size. So you can buy one that's a bit bigger because this comes with, how much product do you get? This is only 3.4 milliliters of product, which means you go through it quite quickly. I believe the first one I ever tried, I think I used it up in like less than 2 months. So this is a concealer you can go through real quickly, but yeah, it's one that I loved so much that I was like, I just need to have this on hand at all times. And another thing I wanted to recommend in here is my favorite makeup tool to apply those base products with. So with primer, I tend to just use my fingers, but for foundation and concealer, I have a very firm, very affordable favorite when it comes to how I like to apply them. And that is with a makeup sponge. And in my opinion, the best makeup sponge is it's only $1.50, yes, $1.50 makeup sponge from AOA Studio, and this is their Paw Wonder Blender. Now this comes in several shapes. They have them in the teardrop shape, but I like the hourglass shaped one. That sadly doesn't come in like a pack. I think the teardrop shaped one you can buy in like a pack of 5 of 10 or whatever. But these you can only buy individually. They are also a little bit more expensive than the teardrop shaped ones, but this is my favorite. This is just my favorite sponge. My next step in my makeup routine would be powder, and I think that one of the best drugstore powders I've ever tried is from Catrice. This is the old version. This is the Prime and Fine Mattifying Powder Waterproof Transparent, which is this. It has a little bit of a tint to it. The new version of this, which is something like the 5-in-1 multi-purpose powder or something like that, it's exactly the same powder, but then it's white. I don't know. For me, both of them were just as successful. I didn't really notice a difference between those two powders. I've kept the old one around so that I could give my newer one away to someone. But yeah, the 5-in-1 or the Prime and Fine waterproof powder is just really, really lovely. I think this is the 3rd or 4th one of these that I own. I think it's simply one of the best powders that the drugstore has ever come out with. And I have dry skin, so I'm super finicky when it comes to powder. There are really only like a handful of powders that I really, really like. So that's why this powder is my pick. Moving on then to brows, because that would be my next step. And for brows, I also tend to go with very affordable products. Just like primers, I don't really invest in eyebrow products. I just kind of try whatever's at the drugstore, and then I'm fine. For brow pencils, I was just going through what I still have lying about, and I'm like, you know what? I've tried a lot of Catrice eyebrow pencils over the years, and so far, they've never really been a dud. Like shade-wise, they do like 5 or 6 different shades. In their brow gels, they always do a clear version as well, and it just works really well. It just gets the job done. I don't think that at the drugstore you can really find if you're like really finicky with your brows. I think you can't really find what it might be that you're looking for. But Catrice do some lovely brow products. They now also do one of those soap brow bar kind of things, which I also really appreciate. So they do a lot of really good brow products. And this is the Fill and Fix Waxy Brow Pencil. This is the latest rendition that they did. But I've gone through several of their brow pencils, and I really like them. So I always get the ones that say blonde or ash brown or something like that. Those are the shades I get, and then you get a really lovely taupey, more cool toned brow color, which is great. But OG followers of mine will have seen this coming at the drugstore, and actually my all-time favorite brow gel is the Essence Make Me Brow. I had to feature it again in here. I really hope that Essence never discontinues this. They seem to, like sometimes when they do their rejig, this somehow ends up on this product is leaving our line part, and I sort of panic buy like a few of these. So I've got a couple of these in backup just in case. But yeah, this is my favorite brow gel. It only comes in 3 shades. Catrice now do a brow gel that I feel is very similar to this, and that comes in more colors. So I wish Essence would extend the shade range on this, because that would be lovely. But yeah, this is my personal favorite. If it is your shade, try it. It is the Benefit Gimme Brow, but at like a fraction of the price. My next step would be bronzer, blush, and highlight. And here again, I've got some solid favorites. I think the best bronzer at the drugstore is this one. The Maybelline City Bronzer. This got quite a bit of hype when it first launched, but then it kind of disappeared. I have mine in 250 medium warm. It's not that warm toned. It has a really lovely yellow undertone, which on my neutral undertoned skin, it looks lovely. It looks really dark in the pan, but actually it sheers out really lovely. The texture of this is lovely too. And I know that Maybelline is, again, a brand that a lot of people will probably have access to, so I think a lot of people might be able to find this. So that's why I wanted to put this bronzer in as a recommendation for my bronzer step. And for blush and highlight, I had to feature Essence and Catrice because they are simply the best. They kill it at the drugstore when it comes to their blush and highlight formulas. Now, not all of their products are created equal, so I have this older Essence Matte Touch blush. If you watch my blush declutter, I decided to get rid of it, and then I pulled it because I was like, why am I getting rid of one of my favorite blushes? It didn't make sense to me afterwards, so I pulled it out and put it back into my makeup collection because this shade is Blossom Me Up, and it's that perfect like nude kind of shade. Essence has been doing blushes in this kind of packaging. The name changes, the shades change, but the quality has been consistent for years. These retail for like 2 or 3 euros. Really, you can't do no wrong with this. They are cheap, they are cheerful. The packaging is also that, cheap and cheerful. But these are lovely, lovely blushes, and don't sleep on these. Find a shade that works for you, and it will just see you through many different makeup moments. And then finally in this category, the Catrice More Than Glow Highlighter in 010 Ultimate Platinum Gaze. This is a gel to powder formula at like $3.99 at the drugstore. Like, this is the same kind of quality that I get from my NARS Fort de France, that I get from my Becca highlighters, though less shimmery. This is Colourpop's Flexitarian, like color-wise, but then in a more manageable format, because the formula of this is just a lot better. So this you can easily apply with a brush. You don't have to, you know, faff around with a sponge or fingers or anything like that. This is a lovely shade. I think this product comes in 4 different shades, and this is the best highlighter that Catrice has ever done. So I hope that this is more widely available. I know it is because I've seen US YouTubers featuring this product. So check out the Ulta website if you are in the US. I think this is more widely available by now. So that's definitely a product to look into if you're looking for a good drugstore highlight. My next step then would be eyeshadow, which is my favorite step. So you know I have more than one recommendation here. I think if you want to try a palette from a affordable brand, then definitely check out BH Cosmetics. Find a color story that you like, and I'm pretty sure that the quality will be good, because so far of the different palettes that I've tried from BH, the quality has been very, very consistent. It's just that I'm not always a fan of their color stories. That's then the only reason why I end up decluttering them. But quality-wise, they do some really good eyeshadow. This is the Lovin London palette, which is getting a little hard to find, but this is my favorite because it has some cooler tones. It's not super cool toned, but you can make cool toned looks with this. However, it's got a little bit of warmth over here, but everything else is very cool toned. I can make this work with my fair skin. You get some more interesting shades for a pop of color on the lower lash line. This was A, really good quality, and B, just, I really, really love this palette. It's one of my all-time favorites, so it had to make an appearance here. But I know that these are hard to find, but you guys, I can't talk about drugstore eyeshadow and not talk about Catrice's 5-in-a-box palettes, because these little mini palettes that look like they're Natasha Denona, these are lovely. This is the rosy one, and this is the smoky one. Sadly, Catrice has somehow decided to not release these everywhere. I don't know why, because these are some of the best quality Catrice has ever done. So if you can find these, buy them. if you can't find these, then please join my giveaway. I'll make sure to link the video down below because I'm currently doing a giveaway to celebrate 5K because that's how many subscribers I now have. And I thought I could give away some products that are harder to find for some people. So I am doing 2 prizes, and one of the prizes includes all 4 of the 5 in a box palette. So if you would like to own these, then join my little giveaway if you haven't yet. And after eyeshadow, we apply mascara. And when it comes to mascara, again, I don't really like a lot of high-end stuff because mascara dries out and it's just a bit of a faff to change out your mascara every 3 months if it's just going to expire. So I have sworn by drugstore mascaras for more than a decade. My favorite brand is Maybelline. My favorite mascara by Maybelline is the Falsies Lash Lift. That's my favorite. And then what I always like to do, no matter the concealer, no matter the mascara that I'm using, I like to top it off with the Catrice Glam & Doll Waterproof Mascara. I started using this to add a waterproof layer to my lashes to stop my mascara transferring, flaking, and this is also what goes onto the lower lash line. So I tend to put a volumizing mascara on top and then put this over it and put this on the bottom lashes. And I have no more issues with makeup like mascara smudging or going everywhere throughout the day. Pro tip. Now actually I tend to do this before mascara because I feel it smudges if it's still wet, but I like to go in with a setting spray after I do my full face. And actually my favorite setting spray is becoming a bit hard to find. It seems to be going on sale a lot, so I'm not sure if you can still find this. But the I Heart Revolution Fixing Spray in the green tea scent. I'm not even sure why this is my favorite, but it just does everything that I need it to do. It has a very neutral scent, even though it says green tea. It just smells really fresh, and that's what I prefer. And one of the things that I like about this is that it comes with 100 mils of product at only a couple of euros by now. It used to retail, I think, for 8 euros at full price, but it's now been going on sale for like 3-4 euros. I've seen it on the Makeup Revolution website. And this is lovely, lovely stuff. I know, like, I also really like the Catrice Multi-Talent Fixing Spray. Catrice do some really lovely fixing sprays as well. But those only come with 50 milliliters of product. And you go through them super quickly. This one, great mister, good scent, does what it needs to do. And you get a full-size product at a drugstore price point. What's not to love? And then last but not least, we need to talk lips. And here, again, I've got some options. However, it's sort of like 2 brands that I would like to recommend you look into. The brand that I would like to recommend you look into if you're looking for a good gloss, Colourpop. This is their Luxe Gloss in Figgy with it. And I've specifically brought this shade up here to show you because this mauvey, pinky, dusty, rosy kind of shade is what got me into gloss. I bought this as part of a Making Mauves set with the Making Mauves palette. And I really actually just wanted the palette and the Super Shocks. I wasn't really interested in the gloss, but it came with the set, so I was like, oh, what the hell, I'll try it, I'll try this. Tried it, loved it, and it kicked off an obsession with trying to find a good gloss for me. It just did. At the drugstore, this is my favorite gloss. So check it out, find a shade that you like, and the Colourpop Luxe glosses are absolutely divine. But you know, gloss is a recent find for me. I tend to just like a full-on matte lip. Full-on matte red lipstick. That's my favorite thing. And the brand that I think you should look into if you want to find a good lipstick is Catrice. Because Catrice do the best drugstore lipsticks, period. I think out of all of the drugstore lipsticks I kept in my last declutter, Catrice is represented most heavily. However, since Catrice, like Essence, discontinues their line continuously and renews things all the time, the lipsticks I like and love, you may no longer be able to find. So that's something to bear in mind. So I've got one of the new products that they are doing right now, and then the other 2, either the line has been discontinued or the shade has been discontinued. So my favorite nude lipstick from Catrice is their Power Plumping Gel Lipstick in 030 Speak Up. I used one of these up and I repurchased it, and I'm really happy that I did because I can no longer find this shade. It's discontinued. which is sad. But this is that sort of like very balmy, gel-like, very lightweight kind of texture. They do a full range of this. You can still buy this type of lipstick, but this exact shade is no longer available. But yeah, they do a couple of really good nudes in this, but also some brighter pops of color in case you're interested. But where it's really at for me from Catrice is their matte lines. They do the demi matte line at the moment, and this is one of the newer shades they just launched. This is Pink Addiction, which is a super nice, very vibrant pink, but not so neon that it becomes unwearable. With a lot of bright pinks, they can be very stark, whereas this is very much a bright pink that is still very wearable, and I think a lot of people can pull off. If you have really dark skin, I think this would be lovely on you as well. So I think this is a very universally bright shade, and this is also newer. And I really like the demi matte formula from Catrice. The name says it all, demi matte. So it is a matte. It looks matte on the face, but it doesn't feel dry or thick or heavy. This is a very thin formula that is super pigmented, and it does wear all day as well. And these are like $3.99. And then sadly discontinued, but in the demi matte line, they still do this shade. However, the ultimate matte line was my favorite when it comes to the matte red in Rouge La La. This is my favorite classic red from Catrice. Sadly, you can no longer buy the exact formula because this is different from the demi mattes. This is a little richer, I find, and that's what I prefer for a red. But in the demi matte line, they did, I'm not sure if they still do the shade, but they did the shade in the demi matte line as well. So yeah, that's just something that I wanted to still feature here. If you can still find these somewhere. The ultimate matte line I thought was a little bit better than a demi matte. So there you have it. Those were all of the recommendations I wanted to feature in today's video. Lots of drugstore favorites here. I really enjoyed talking about this. Let me know in a comment down below what your favorite drugstore products are. Are they the same? Maybe you've bought some of these off of my recommendation. I always find that very strange to see people say like, yeah, I bought this because of you. And I was like, oh, okay, I hope you like it. I always feel a bit like, it always makes me nervous when people tell me that they've bought stuff off of my recommendation, but oh well. With that being said, that's what I wanted to tell you all about in today's video. So I really hope you liked it. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make 3 new videos a week, so there's lots more content coming your way. I tend to talk about loads of different topics when it comes to makeup, but mainly eyeshadow palettes because that's my favorite thing. So definitely that's something you can expect on Sunday, that there will be an eyeshadow palette video coming your way on Sunday. So I hope you would like to stay tuned, and in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!